What's going on, everybody? Welcome to IE Sports Radio. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty Alston, Maddie B, and your girl Bex will be joining us shortly. What's going on, Faithful?
Nothing much. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Yes,
Do
it
you
is. It is Wednesday, February 28th. We are exactly 2 weeks away from free agency,
Yes, indeed.
and
Wow.
we have quite a bit to talk about tonight.
Man, off season goes fast.
Sure does. Sure does when you play
Jeez.
into February.
That's true. Very, very true.
You're muted.
it was like a month and a half left of like off-season talk that other people had that we didn't. You know what I mean? It was great.
It sure was.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to us, East Coast Red and Gold, on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's for sure. And don't forget that Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky is an all brisket jerky that has gluten-free options, no MSG, no sodium nitrate, low in sugar, and high in protein. Some of the best jerky that you can get your paws on. PlanetJerky.net is brisket beef jerky that's on a whole other planet. Also, remember to make sure to follow IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and on the shows. Check out the website as well, iesportsradio.com/East Coast Red and Gold for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, the Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each podcast on the network, and more. Stop by the store and check out the latest merch as well, iesportsradio.com/East Coast Red and Gold. Thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Awesome. All right, so let's get to it. John Lynch spoke on Tuesday. Had a few things to say. I wasn't necessarily surprised in, anything that he had to say as far as, wanting to sign BA long term. As far as the defensive coordinator search goes, just making sure that they check all boxes, and pretty much, just kind of, just picking people's brains, really, even if they're not a serious candidate. What did you guys learn from John Lynch?
The BA thing, nothing new there. It's kind of what he's said in the past about players and signings, and it kind of makes sense. The DC thing, one thing that I took away is, okay, there's a track record of our DCs just going for one reason or the other. So we're going to take our time, find the right person, but also interview some people now so that we have a list for the future also. Right? That was one big thing that I took away. Like, he's like, okay, let's start stacking these names up just in case a guy leaves for whatever reason. We have a backup plan in place that we can quickly flip a switch, maybe, if it comes to that. That was my one big takeaway.
That's a really, really good point. Not to cut you off, Jess. That's a really good point.
No, it's okay. I was going to say the same thing. That that's a really good point.
It's not, and it's not the first coach that I've heard doing this, and you're starting to see the franchises that kind of have their stuff together with it. It's one thing that kind of scares me a little bit about, like, the 49ers are in a really good spot in the NFC right now. I think next year they're still clearly the class of the conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are other teams in the conference that are starting to pick that up. Example, Dan Quinn was just talking about that and was setting up about how he's doing his defensive staff. And he set up the defensive staff specifically so that he said, quote, if the defensive coordinator works out and gets a job, well, the next guy up can do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they already kind of staggered it so that they knew, boom, 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 kind of like,
right.
training, whether the, D-line or linebackers or whatever. Now, you can look at next year, and it's possible that Robert Saleh is back on the market. According to the article that I read today, that was Mike Silver's article, and he usually gets some pretty good information from people around. he seems to be friendly with the organization. They did try to get Jeff Ulbrich from the Jets, and that was shot down by the Jets. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that they didn't want their good defensive coordinator to leave for the same job with the 49ers.
Right.
In a make or break year, I'm absolutely floored that
Yeah.
that's what they wanted to happen.
Blocked.
So
Mhm.
They
it's
were
possible
denied.
it's possible he could be here next year. But also based on the Matt Mayoko thing that was posted this week, there's still one more person to go, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that defensive stuff in a little bit. But that was really that. And then for the John Lynch stuff, from what I learned from him, the Super Bowl loss hasn't really changed much in terms of modus operandi. Like,
Yeah.
like they still want number 6. They know they're all in this year, and this is basically a carbon copy of 1994. It's just updated. The only difference is it's been longer than 5 years since we've won a Super Bowl. That's really it. This is the same vibe.
Yep.
All hands on deck, every trick in the book that you can come up with to do whatever, to get whoever you can in here to make things happen. That's who it is. That's kind of why I'm kind of interested to see who this last defensive coordinator candidate is. And I really like them interviewing the defensive back coach with Kansas City.
Yeah.
Anytime you can make Kansas City a little weaker, totally cool with that. Totally down with that. That's totally fine. Totally fine. So that's what I learned from, and of course, like the whole stuff about BA, like what is anybody gonna think that they're gonna say, right? Like what else is he gonna say? Yeah, we're gonna trade Brandon Ayuk and just kind of see what happens. No, they're gonna. Oh my God, of course they're gonna want to sign him.
Well, speaking of BA, Chase Sr. Had tweeted out a few hours ago saying, source, the 49ers have no plans of trading Brandon Ayuk and want to sign him for a long-term deal. Ayuk's agent is Ryan Williams of Athletes First, who is the best friend of John Lynch. Lynch was the best man in Williams' wedding. I was told, no way Ayuk leaves.
Yeah. That to me is one of those deals, like, what that's put out there by? That's put out by like Giants media and other team media that want number one. They want a number one wide receiver to just be available on the market again. They want to see another AJ Brown thing. Ooh, Brandon Ayuk gonna be on the market. We gotta trade for him. Like that's what it is a lot of times. It's just wishful thinking because they're hoping he's available for their team. I can't imagine a scenario where he's not playing for this team this year.
Yeah. Remember, all the trade talk started on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens every year. And I don't know why it happens, but for some reason, when a player reaches his last year of his contract, people go into this frenzy and say, oh, we got to trade him if we don't extend him. That we don't have to. And that's the key words that people throw out. We have to trade him. No, we don't. And the team does not want to trade him. So why is that even out there? It's the dumbest thing. It's weird, but that's where it starts. And when we talked about it, you've seen the track record with every time these guys come up, the key guys come up that we've drafted. John Lynch always says, oh, we'll extend the 5th year option, and we're going to work out an extension. It happens every year. I don't know why people freak out.
And not just like the, the fans say that, but like family members come on and like automatically just start saying like, it's been real, we're not going to be back. We may not be back. And it's like clockwork. Like as soon as something bad happens, like the Super Bowl loss, boom, family members come out.
But and the funny thing is, family members talk all year and no one pays attention to them. But as soon as the year is over and there's some contract talk, all of a sudden, Brandon Ayuk's sister's cousin said this. And oh my God, he's leaving the team. It's like, we don't care what they said. What did BA say? He didn't say anything? Cool, we're fine.
Yeah, I think even his brother was like, we appreciate the organization for drafting him, but, Vegas, here we come, or something like that. And it's like,
Listen,
who's going to throw to him in Vegas? Who?
yeah, listen, but I got siblings. Let me tell you, they don't speak for me and my money. They can say whatever they want, but they ain't talk for me and my money. I'm gonna tell you that now.
I just
Aiden
really don't think he's
O'Connell.
going anywhere. And the salary
No.
cap being, you know, a little bit more, I think that kind of makes us a little bit more comfortable.
Exactly. And like,
It makes
Go
me
ahead.
more comfortable because if you give this team any sort of like leeway or any sort of break, like they're gonna figure out the best way to maximize that, right?
mhm,
So like for some teams, like their 30 million's already been eaten up by some stupid crap they did last year.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that happen in this case. I see them like, oh hey, everything's working perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, oh hey, we just found 30 mil. Woo! You know, that's really they will do more with that than probably any other team in the league.
yeah,
So yeah, I just that's one of those deals where it's like something finally benefits this team, and you know that they're probably that probably helped them quite a bit because I'm guessing
yeah.
from about every general manager that I heard interviewed this week, they were all planning for it to be in the 240s. You know, some
Mhm, yeah.
varying form of 241 to 249. So for it to come in the 250s,
Yeah. It's Christmas. They're all very happy.
mhm,
Yeah. And you know,
100%.
Parag is like, oh, I
Oh
can
yeah.
work my magic a little. I could work my magic just a
Oh,
little easier right now. And we've
he must be
seen
like over the moon.
exactly. And we've seen in years past, we've been like coming up close to the cap or a little bit over the cap, and he's worked his magic. He's got us under, a lot under, and we've been able to re-sign people, extend people, sign free agents. Who says he's not going to do that again this year when he's already proven he's been able to do it? So it's going to happen. We'll be fine. We'll have BA for years. We'll have Debo for years. We'll be fine.
Now, I've heard like some things that because our passing offense is ranked, you know, in the 20s, do they
Mhm.
really want to pay, you know, have two receivers on the roster that combine for like $50 million?
This team is going to change though fundamentally. This team is going to change fundamentally here over the next few. If this team, okay, for everybody who, fun fact, wants this team to be like a dynasty that sticks around for a while and goes through cycles, this is the first part of that, okay?
Mhm.
Because a lot of these guys are going to age out and they're going to have to be replaced on the fly.
Yeah.
You cannot you could not tell Brock Purdy, hey, guess what? We're taking away both of your starting receivers. Like, or we're just going to take away one, right? Like, you can't
Yeah.
do that. You especially can't do that now when he's only making like 900,000 this year.
Mhm.
Like, this is the only year you could really keep them together and make it work, right? If you really want to, like, the storm is a lot. Everything is aligned perfectly for them to be able to keep this thing together and keep it moving. As
Yep.
Purdy moves up, like as his number moves up, yeah, other things are going to have to change around the roster, and then other
Exactly.
players will start, you know, retiring, leaving, whatever. This is why the draft is so damned important, and why
Yeah.
missing 3 first-round picks the last few years has been so rough, because that's potential talent that's been missed, right? Luckily, they're really good in the bottom parts of the draft, so they're usually going to hit people, no problem there. But like, you really want them to have their toe in the water a lot more draft wise over the next few years to keep this thing running as long as you can, because it's going to go from the star-studded lineup around Brock Purdy to Brock Purdy and the 49ers. So
Mhm.
you got to make sure that that's how this thing works,
Hey, Don.
and that's how that's going to transition.
Yeah. Hey, Don.
buddy.
Yeah, but not having the first round picks has also been kind of a blessing too, because we didn't have to pay those first round salaries as well, which has
So
helped
it's a little
us.
bit of a flip.
So
Yeah.
so it's a little bit of a blessing and a curse, you know. And you said, just like you said, thank goodness our scouting team is as good as they are, and we've hit on third round, fourth round, fifth round, seventh
round.
round talent that has helped us keep this thing going.
You're also seeing a lot of our old talent that got the big free agent money start to come back on the market because people have realized, oh, hey, wow, I think they were better in the system. I wouldn't be shocked if Lakin Tomlinson ends up back here next year, like, depending on how things go, depending on how the market
Big
works.
Lincoln.
My guess is he ends up in some place like Houston or someplace like that, some like 49ers light sort of system. But those guys are coming. Aziz Al-Shire, you know what I mean? Another guy that could come back here, right? Like, you're going to start seeing that happen too. So I feel like we're in good shape for a lot of different things here.
Steve-O's trying to get you some good Wi-Fi, Maddie.
What's my Wi-Fi? I don't know.
It's fine tonight.
I don't know what's going on.
You probably
I've had
just jinxed
problem with my
it.
Wi-Fi.
I know, right? Taking shots at the Wi-Fi tonight.
Unbelievable.
And he's coming in smooth.
I know he's actually like it's not pixelated. He's moving good. Like
exactly.
It's clear.
Crunched.
You know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Maddie, you mentioned Lakin Tomlinson. That's a no for me. He had a really bad year, and he definitely was not how he left us.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens in these situations, Jeff. You're 100% right. You couldn't be any more right. The problem is you went to the Jets, okay? Like, he went from us to the Jets. So all that good coaching is gone.
Yep.
You see this happen all the time with good teams where guys come back 2 or 3 times. I don't know how many times Kyle Van Noy came back with the Patriots. Or like, they'd go somewhere, they'd get signed for money, and then they'd hit the streets again. And oops, they'd be back on the other team for a year to kind of get right and get everything back together. And fun fact, they'd get themselves back together, right? Because they're being coached right and right somewhere where they were comfortable and got it worked out. If anybody would get the best out of him, and if he's really serious about like repositioning himself for another run at the market to look good and just be like, hey guys, look, the Jets really screwed me. He could definitely come back here. I guarantee you he would help. So I think his price tag's probably going to be a little too high. I mean, the offensive.
we take care of our own first. That's why.
Steve-O, we just knew that like that wasn't going to happen.
Exactly.
So we're not doing that. I think the offensive line market is really too high in terms of like, similar to the rent, too damn high. The offensive line prices out there are too damn high.
It's too damn high.
So somebody will probably drop him like 8 to 10 mil. I guess it's some team like Houston or somebody like that has a 49ers system background will try to sneak him in.
Tennessee, somebody.
Tennessee, some will kind of Green Bay, the Rams. Somebody will try to come in and redo him for a fairly bargain basement price. So, and probably get away with it, and he'll probably do great. So, because again, he won't be on the Jets anymore. So,
yeah.
Your girl Beck's in the house.
What's up?
Going on?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And she is home.
Chiropractors, they have no timelines. Did you not?
Chiropractors, doctors. Yeah.
You get cracked when I say you
None
get
of them.
cracked.
None of them.
Try doing the dentist and the chiropractor in the same evening.
Oh Lord.
Think about it.
Oh, that's terrible. Why would you do that to yourself?
I know. I was like, I've got 3 hours. How bad could it be? Well, clearly.
It worked out well.
they said, hold my beer.
Yeah, they're like, hold my beer. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm dehydrated. I haven't drank any water for 3 hours because I've been sitting in your waiting room. Hold myself for right now.
So we're just we're talking about free agency. We're talking about Lakin Tomlinson, who's being released by the Jets. On the 49ers front, Isaiah Oliver was released. No surprise there. Dude was terrible. Shaq Barrett. Go ahead, Maddie.
I was going to just mention one thing about John Feliciano. Were you surprised that he was totally like you would want him back, totally cool with it? Or did you think that whole thing about him and Burford was a blow up deal?
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't like when stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
I don't think that, because there's a sign in the locker room that says protect the team.
Exactly.
And that should have never happened. I mean, he came out, he apologized, he said he was hungover. That's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him back. And then they kind of maybe drafted another guard or right tackle and stuff. But for me personally, I think that we're going to emphasize more on the defensive line in this draft than the offensive line.
See, I actually think it's going to be the offensive line more than the defensive line. So, we could be, but they've got 11 picks. They can address a lot of things.
Yeah.
Depending on what they want to do here.
True.
So,
but I really don't see them drafting an offensive tackle with the 31st pick in the draft.
I don't think there'll be anything.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to draft an offensive guy that high up for sure.
I think we're still just going to, it's going to be defensive end, defensive tackle. The way
John Lynch loves his D line. Yeah. Yeah. Plus the numbers of it right now, the way it looks, we have a lot more offensive linemen under contract than defensive linemen. Right. So it's like, I think we got 6 defensive linemen that are free agents or something like that. They're just gone. Like our D line. Oh, well, look at her all prepared with the list.
Let's say. Chase Young, Javon Kinlaw, Sebastian Joseph Day, Cleveland Ferrell, Kevin Givens.
Big one. Big one.
Ferrell and Givens should be affordable.
Mm-hmm.
I want Cleveland Ferrell back.
I want Ferrell back too.
I agree. He really showed flashes of greatness here in the late part of the season.
Yeah, but you talk about, and Ferrell was a starter.
Yes.
Kevin Givens was heavy in the defensive tackle rotation. Right? You're looking at guys that played meaningful minutes, key guys right there that are off the board for us. So then you start looking at depth behind them and you're like, ooh, yeah, we're a little thin here. We need to start adding some guys on. So that's why just looking toward the draft, it's like, okay, we got to really draft some defensive linemen here.
And just given who they've spoken to already, I mean, it doesn't really mean much, but they've spoken to defensive end Austin Booker from Kansas, another DN Jonah Ellis from Utah, a linebacker Cedric Gray from North Carolina, McKinley Jackson from Texas A&M, who's a D tackle, DN Darius Robinson from Missouri, DN Javon Solomon from Troy State, D tackle Mason Smith from LSU, and DJ James, cornerback from Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
So given who they've spoken to already, it's almost like, hey, we're just going to focus on the defense for a little bit here.
Well, no, part of that too is because that's where the way the combine is set up. Like the first 2 days are specifically position based, so that's what it's
right.
Be
no,
now.
I get it. I get
They're
it.
all there.
So it's going to be a little top heavier in that aspect of it. But I 100% agree. Yeah, there needs to be some young legs in this defense, right? There needs to be some young, fresh legs in this defense.
Yes.
So.
Hey, Mariah.
Sure.
Yep.
Becca, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I missed the first part, so I don't know if I heard the Lakeland Tomlinson discussion, but I don't know. Like, there's a whole list of former 49ers in free agency that are available. And I don't know if you talked any more about other guys other than him, but it seems like people are like, oh, Kendrick Bourne and Quan Alexander and Azeez Al-Shaair. Maybe, I think of all the potentials, Azeez is probably the guy that most would be the higher one on the pecking order if we were to bring someone back. I mean, I don't know what shape Trent Brown is in or how, if he's had good years or I haven't watched anything on him in the last couple of seasons, but I know, he was out and injured. And if he's playing at a high level, then maybe we do bring somebody like that back in on the O line and fortify that a little bit. But it's I think there's just so many options, right? Because now we have the combine and the draft coming up, though. That you're going to do some things in draft. We don't usually make big splashes in free agency. We have a couple, Christian McCaffrey, one or
trade.
two, but it's not our style generally. We come and get some good veterans to plug some holes, and then we draft young talent behind it. That's always been what we see out of Kyle and John. So I would expect maybe one or two of these free agency guys to get picked up, and then we're going to see a whole lot of new faces from the draft.
Yeah, the MO has been. Oops, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just to reiterate what Rebecca said, the MO has normally been in free agency, sign one key guy to fill a major need, and the rest of the guys you sign are just filling in the backups. They're holes somewhere. There's things we need to just help boost the roster. That's it. There hasn't been, we're going to sign this guy and that key guy. And that's not the way we work. We draft players normally. So it'll be interesting to see who that one key guy will be, and then go from there.
Is it Jess's guy right. Burns? Is it Joey Bosa? Do we have bookend Bosas?
Well, about Brian Burns, yesterday I was driving home and Carolina actually is tagging him. And I was like, damn you, Carolina.
I did not hear that they're tagging him.
I knew that was going to happen though. But I'm intrigued by if the next D coordinator is David Merritt, because could that potentially mean we trade for Snead?
I don't think so. Not with them. They just tagged him today.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not, I don't see that. I think that would be Lynch talked about in an interview how he's, people ask him like, are you trying to do a thing this year? So like they got Hargrave last year, right? So like we kind of expect that maybe they're going to try to pull a rabbit out of the hat this year. I don't think Snead and the franchise tag deal for him will kind of allow for that, just because of the way that he's going to want to be paid, the compensation that the Chiefs are going to want. Like they're setting this up perfectly so that they can try to re-sign Jones and then keep Snead at whatever the hell they feel like, right? So there's also a medical thing with him. He's got some weird knee issue or something, I guess. So he's really good though. So if they did end up hiring the dude, if they did end up hiring Merritt, great. You know what I mean? I still want to know who the last person is. Who's behind door number 5? You know what I mean? Because it seems like they've got five candidates, and they've interviewed Bullocks, they've interviewed Merritt, they interviewed Staley, and there was one other one.
Nick Sorensen, who is the leading internal candidate.
Yeah.
He's the leading that's interesting. So that makes me wonder who the additional external candidate was, because when they said it the other day, there was 2 more and they were from outside the building. So, Merritt was one. Who's the 5th? Is it Mike Vrabel?
I am going to say Chris Kiffin.
There were 2 internals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2 internals.
It was Bullocks.
First of all, it was
Daniel
Brandon
Bullocks.
Staley, Nick Sorensen, Daniel Bullocks.
Yeah, there you go.
And David Merritt.
Yeah.
And apparently Kyle had called Bill Belichick and offered it to him, because you're not going to have Bill Belichick come in for an interview. And he politely declined and said that he was going to go the TV route for the 2024 season. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
I know exactly what happened in that conversation. He said, Kyle, I can't stop Dallas, KC, Green Bay. I can't stop anybody. You really want me on the staff? And
he
Kyle was
also didn't have our talent.
That's true.
He didn't have our talent.
That's true.
And
but
how much
you still got copies of those tapes, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mac
I got a
Jones
really
directly
big
accounted for many of those touchdowns last year, but that is also on him, which is why you just want him to focus on the defense, right? Like, give him some talent and go from there. But here's that's 100%. That's probably true, because Shanahan has said in previous interviews, like, well, you know, if Bill Belichick's out there, you got to get him, right? Like him and Lynch love Belichick. So yeah, of course they were probably going to call and be like, "Yo, what do you think?" Right? So, if he's going to do TV, so be it. But that should honestly, no matter how you feel about him or anything, just as a 49ers fan, that should make you feel good that they made that phone call,
Hmm.
right? Or at least sent those feelers that they're willing to do whatever that it takes,
Thanks.
right?
Win a
To
championship.
Whatever
do
it takes.
whatever they need to do. You know what I mean? That is all you can ask for, because there's a lot of other franchises out there that would not do that. They would not even bother. So
Yeah.
I still think the last guy's Vrabel. I really do. I think Vrabel, they offered him the job in 2016, and I think they'd be silly not to at least overturn that stone, because there's been no talk of him going to TV. Like he just dropped off the face of the earth, and everybody was expecting him to be hired. So
Well, originally I thought the two outside were Belichick and Carroll. And Ty, this is actually kind of funny because I had a note in my papers here that you would say something again. So I was actually like going to respond to it like with my note, like right here. Like, yes,
She
Ty,
knows
I
me.
know
She's
that what
on to
their
me.
defenses let up last season.
She's on to me.
But this is interesting too with regard to Chris Kiffin. He was in Houston, and apparently he is not going to be back because Houston hired somebody from the Cardinals. So that's an interesting little nugget there.
Mhm.
do you think him and the dude that got fired from the Boombox got in trouble over there? Remember, there was a
I know,
Houston
right?
guy that got fired from the Boombox. They had their own.
It was,
He
it
used
was
to be
our former
Boombox
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What the
But
hell's going on in Houston?
you know, the whole Bill Belichick to the going the TV route. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
That TV money
was
is good
thinking-
money.
You said TV.
I know,
was
but
like,
Bill Belichick and talking on TV. Come on now.
Him and Saban?
his pressers are barn burners. So, like, come on.
Here's the deal. He knows he's got an image to remake. And if you asked him a question that he wanted to answer, let's say you asked him about Navy football from 1948, he would give you like a 4-paragraph answer with at least 15 things. The Boston media up here, it used to be crazy, especially working in the sports radio stuff up here, because there would be things that he would talk about. Somebody would ask him a question about a special teamer, right? The soliloquy he gave about Johnny Hecker from the Rams a few years ago was one of the wildest things I think I've ever heard another player. Like,
Johnny Hecker.
it was crazy. And I'm just like, dude, this is a punter. Like, you don't even talk about your franchise Hall of Fame quarterback in this realm, right? Like, and you're talking about another team's punter. Like, he's like the greatest thing since since the air fryer was invented. So it's him and Saban doing some sort of like Manning cast thing, I really think is going to grow legs, because I think those two are going to try to spin off of their like grumpy old couple best friends sort of deal where they
Grumpy
used to
old
work
men.
together in Cleveland. Yeah, that grumpy old men thing.
The odd couple.
And look, just like Sean Payton did for Denver, like somebody's going to want them. Somebody's going to want Belichick to take over their franchise next year because somebody didn't do a good job. You know what I mean? He's going to be available. And maybe they can get Nick Saban to be the defensive coordinator for them, So, but also, by the way, fun fact, 2 of the 49ers' best defensive seasons were with Pete Carroll as the defensive coordinator. 1995, 1996. And those are post-Dion years. So he knows how to make most of the talent, and ended up getting a job in New England after that. Like, they thought he did that great of a job. So, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see who this other person is, the mystery person. I'll be interested to see who it is.
The fact that Nick Sorensen is the leading internal candidate is so not intriguing to me. I really hope that we don't go. I feel like we go backwards.
Yeah.
As opposed to
take a step back. Yeah.
Right. Then again, like, this is why, like, I have, no ties with the organization or make any, types of decisions or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't.
Even though I am going to try to get Kyle on speed dial this
Yeah.
this coming season, I'm kind of working my way.
Uh-huh.
My shirt's on the
You're
wall.
almost there.
He knows me. We're
Mhm.
good terms. But yeah, I out of this group, who would you guys like to see, Becca?
I don't know, because I still feel like there's the unknown candidate that you hear about the noise, and the Niners are good at keeping it under wraps about the actual thing that happens. And I feel like we don't know what we don't know yet. And I think there might be still feelers out to try and get someone else. And I don't know that any of the candidates we know about or see or have heard from or heard about are it. Waiting on the igneous rock, the big explosion from the volcano to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ty?
I want a guy who has experience calling games. And right now it's only one, Brandon Staley,
Yeah.
that we've, interviewed so far that has done that. And it's like, do we really want him? He only really had one good season, calling games, and it's
not
just
the same defense.
Right. It's not the same defense, which we apparently want to keep. So,
but John Lynch also kind of didn't close the door on Brandon Staley either.
Yeah. But
I feel like they've been dropping a lot of Brandon Staley Easter eggs.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I'm just let it play out and trust the process. That's what I have to do, because we're going to be questioning it all season long either way. So we do. That's right. We get some AI defensive coordinator. We have defensive coordinator Chat GTP doing it.
That's a very good point.
I don't know. So some promotions that they did do within the organization, Tariq Ahmad and RJ Gillen are now the directors of player personnel, which is what Adam Peters was, and the next step would be assistant GM. So congrats to them. It's pretty cool.
That's a good move internally.
Actually, they were with the organization even before Shanahan and Lynch came on board.
Yep. These are longtime lifers, if you will.
Yeah.
Both going to split the role Adam Peters does, and both have their specialty. Tariq is good scouting college guys, getting on the road, doing that. And I'm drawing a blank. Other guys good with the pros. Let them tag team it. RJ, thank you. RJ is good with the pros. Let them tag team it.
I'll help you with the names
and build this roster. Like I really like this move. This is the one off-season move so far that I'm really happy with.
Yeah, same. What do you think, Maddie?
I think it's great. I think that's what you want. You want to create that sort of fostering sort of deal where like people want to stay, right? And you don't have people like Adam Peters leave. If they stay for a long time, they go. But like they're just like what we talked about earlier. Like you've got the next person up. The next person can you know what I mean? And it creates that organizational stability. When you have that stability around, no matter what it is, your organization's usually in a better place, provided the stability is not based on someone who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. We seem like we've got some good folks in there that really know what they're doing. It's a good collective. I don't usually like a lot of collective brain trust, whatever, but it seems like everybody really knows their role in this scenario, and really executes it. So yeah, I think it's great. And I think that will only continue to allow more young minds to come in, right? And eventually move on to go get jobs. Like people are going to want to work for the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I mean? Like between that NFLPA report card earlier and then like the jobs that are probably available to coaches and scouts and general managers and et cetera, like
Yeah.
To me, in front office personnel, like to me, it just makes perfect sense. So, and that's the sort of thing you want. That's they've really reignited a lot of the stuff that Bill Walsh wanted to accomplish when he took over this
Yeah.
franchise. They've done a really good job of that. They haven't recreated the Super Bowl, but literally everything else.
Everything
They've
else
not
is
only
there,
recreated,
right?
but they not only have they recreated it, but they've amplified it. You know, like all the
Mhm.
meetings being taped and everything. Now, I guess everything in the building is recorded. You know what I mean? Shanahan can join you
Mhm.
via Zoom call like any minute. You know what I mean? He could just join you on the microphone and be like, "Hi,"
Yeah.
you know, like Hal from Space Odyssey. So, like, it really is next gen stuff.
It speaks to the culture of the 49ers.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not just saying the culture; it's showing the culture, right?
Yeah.
Becca, what are your thoughts on we discussed this earlier about BA and you think we're going to trade him? Oh.
Well, I guess that's how she feels about
You
that.
don't want to talk about it. Steve-O's already blaming my Wi-Fi for this.
I love the way things just happen in a timely manner on this show. They just happen
wild.
so on cue. Like,
Yeah, it was
what?
like, ooh,
Yep.
Well, well then. Yeah, she's back, but her devices are not connected.
Okay.
I don't know if she can hear me, but that's the status.
She'll work it out. Pop back in.
Can I go back to one other thing about Brandon Staley? By the way,
sure. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
one thing that I will say about Staley, they had the #1 defense in 2020, and he
Mhm.
coordinated that defense via Zoom with all the COVID restrictions.
Yep.
Which is why, like, he got the shot to be the head coach.
Yeah.
You know, the head
Yeah.
coach thing didn't work out. But it is impressive to me that he would be able to do something like that with that team. I mean, it wasn't like that Rams team was good, but it wasn't like, I don't think that defense had as much talent as our defense
No.
currently has.
No.
So for him to be able to do that, you know, gives me a little bit of hope. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
he wouldn't be a total, like, whoever
Right.
gets hired better be better
And
than Steve Wilkes. That's all I can say. Like,
and
you have to be better. So
yeah. And
just
some
be a little
guys
hope on that.
are just much better coordinators than head
Yes.
coaches. We've seen that so many times
over and over
throughout our
again,
football
right?
experience, right?
Mhm.
Like, guys,
100%.
terrible head coach, but
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a coordinator, he's fine. That's his lane. Leave him there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Staley, you know?
I could totally see that.
But you know, it's I don't know. He runs a 3-4.
Mm-hmm. That's
not what we
system. Yeah.
do.
Nope.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. Can he change? Is he flexible? What's his knowledge of the 4-3, right? That's all things we don't know, but I'm hoping they ask those questions during his interview. That's all you can hope for.
I mean, to me, if we were going to go that route, then why not keep Steve Wilkes for a second season?
Yeah. Well,
but if you're going to here's the other thing. If you're just going to bring in an internal candidate and promote them, why wouldn't you have just brought in the internal candidate last year, right? Because most of these guys were all here last year. Like, you know, like, it just doesn't. This is why I'm reserving all judgment until I know everybody has been interviewed, and then they decide who it is. Because, like I said, this whole conversation is null and void if Adam Schefter goes on Twitter tomorrow and says the 49ers have hired Mike Vrabel to be the defensive coordinator, right? Like, that's all this conversation and all this air is gone. Which, if that happens, we're going to be in some damn good shape. So,
yeah. It can happen.
Which means it absolutely will not happen. So
yeah.
It'll be done well.
So, Rebecca, it was kind of funny. I went to ask you the question, and you just kind of
as soon as she finished.
Howard went out.
And
Oh, wow.
so I was trying to connect, like the battery still has power on the laptop. So it's powering the light, the one light in the corner here. And then I was like trying to reconnect on the phone because it takes like 10 minutes for the Wi-Fi, or, my
The cable and everything.
Comcast box
Yeah.
to reconnect. And then it came back on, like, and it flickered like 17 times. I'm like, now it's going to reconnect the box for, every time it goes in and out. So it's back on, but it's like every time the wind blows, you see it go like, woo. Like, what is this, 1846 out here? Like, stop.
Yep.
I feel like I'm at Matt's place. He's sitting in the dark with candlelight. Be like me and Matt having a seance down here in the bottom. Get my
I was
Ouija
blaming
board
my
out. I'll tell you
Wi-Fi
what's
for
going to
this.
happen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm going to whip out the Ouija board and I'll tell you everything that's going to happen in the season. So
David
what were you going to ask me?
Yeah, hang on one second. David Corona, it's not a call-in show tonight, but we'll have one again.
We'll do one soon,
real
yeah.
soon for sure, because those are fun. Becca, your thoughts on BA and his contract, and do you think he's going to be traded?
I don't think he's going to be traded. I mean, they up the salary cap. People are restructuring. You got Fred Warner and others who are willing to restructure. I think we do everything we can to keep BA and Juwan Jennings. They are very, very important to the success of the offense. And I think if you take him out, it's a big letdown. That's a very big drop off for the offense, especially, with the way we operate, with all of the maneuvers and the covers and the disguises we run. We need the Swiss Army knife to be on the field and to be successful. I think we try to keep juice too. I mean, I think on the offensive side, it looks like we're probably going to have cap money to do it, especially if some of these guys restructure. We have to keep these guys. We have to try and keep that nucleus as tight as we can and keep that intact.
Yeah, I don't see us trading BA only because, we touched a little bit about this as far as, Brock Purdy, like taking away like one of his weapons. Like they've developed like a real chemistry, even though he was only, he got the ball, 3 times in the Super Bowl, but that's besides the point. I mean, so to take away, like, you want to like put people around him, not take away people. And I know I said this last week as far as just, Kyle Shanahan's offense. You can't just take a rookie and just insert him in.
Especially at receiver.
Kyle is the hardest on wide receivers. And I believe when we had Spencer Burford on, he even alluded to that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very high expectations. And when you take something that he's homegrown. He is our boy that we have developed in our system to play. So how do you turn around and when you get him to a pinnacle of talent, trade that? You don't. That is your boy. He's a homer. He's going to stay. They're going to work something out. Either they're going to franchise tag him or they're going to work out a contract deal. We're not losing.
So now, what about the middle of the D-line? You got Eric Armstead, who's going to be entering his 10th season, and you have Javon Hargrave, who's 31 years old, and we can get out of his contract after this season. What do you guys think about the middle of the line?
Well, that's why a lot of people are predicting we're going to take a lot of defensive linemen to address that and build for the future. Because we know we like to
11
redshirt
D
guys.
linemen. Let's go.
we like the redshirt guys, right? Okay, let's address this now, so that if one of those guys leave after next season, we have their replacement in place. And you got to start getting younger. You got to start, looking toward the future. It is what it is. We can't keep going out and trying to sign a guy here, a guy there to be, the fill-in replacement. That's good for rotation during the season, but you got to start thinking long-term, and you got to address it. It needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we generally do a good job of finding great players like that
Mhm.
in the later rounds, and it's always something that the Niners have, at least in the John Lynch era, really
Mhm.
done a great job of filling the cupboard, right? Backfilling next man up, keeping that cupboard full of young, fresh talent and legs, and developing that in house.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, we can't keep everyone, but
Mm.
Brock is still on his rookie contract, so we're gonna damn well try.
Yeah. We're going to keep the
Um,
core intact as much as possible. Like
yeah,
the key core, the captains and everything, they're not going anywhere.
right,
Forget about it. Like,
right,
stop saying we're going to trade Kittle and Juice. And
not happening.
just stop. They're not
Exactly.
going anywhere.
I promise you, George Kittle's not playing for anyone but the 49ers. The only way he's going anywhere is if, like, the Titans, like his last year, and they have to beg him to come
He goes
play,
home to
and
Tennessee.
they overpay him. Okay,
Mhm.
that'll be it. That would be the only time I would see him doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys I just see as 49er lifers. I really do. Like
Mhm.
Fred Warner. I don't, I know Juice obviously played for Baltimore, but I don't see him going to play anywhere else. Like there's not
Mhm.
there's not a huge giant demand for fullbacks
Well,
right
for
now.
fullbacks, period. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know what I mean? And even though he's really more than that, like other people aren't really going to know how to use him. So,
Yeah.
And he's played so well in our system. I mean, it would be hard to see us parting with him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Michael Diaz says, I think if there isn't a good offensive lineman available at pick 31, they're going to go D-line. If that happens, I think a lot of people are going to be upset because it'll happen later round or free agency. Yeah, I
of
don't
course,
know.
anytime you draft defense, everybody gets mad. So, yeah, you're right.
But they want defense to win the
I think
games.
the defensive
Yeah.
line is like it makes this team go. I know we've had our issues on the offensive line, specifically on the right side. But I just see us re-signing Feliciano and drafting a guard or a tackle, in the later rounds. But I think we definitely do defensive line with that 31st pick.
Yeah. Feliciano was
I want
playing
Chop Robinson
decent football.
Right. He played good football.
Like he was playing
Yep.
good football and wasn't even playing all season, right? So he ended the
Mhm.
year strong, you can say. And quiet as it's kept, him going down in the Super Bowl was kind of a big injury
Yep.
because it threw things off kilter.
It really
Like
did.
had he
It's
been in
actually
Another
there,
one of those
that's,
death
less
by
talked
1,000
about.
cut
yeah,
scenario
exactly.
that happened in that game. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That doesn't get talked about enough, Ty. You're 100% right.
Yeah,
And honestly, may have been bigger than the Greenlaw injury at the end of the
exactly.
day,
Mhm.
particularly the way that third down went in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
if Feliciano's in there, maybe that third down gets converted and we run out the clock and there's no overtime.
Right.
you know.
David McNiner, what's wrong with Jake Brendel?
Brendan
Talk
just
to
gets
us.
hate. He just gets hate.
I
He's
think
not
it's one of-
outstanding.
If there's one thing I know this team is good at, it's drafting
Brandon.
offensive linemen for 2 to 3 years from now.
Yeah,
So
they redshirted.
and redshirting them, with some of the guys that they've had come through and look, they've gotten some really good production out of a lot of these guys. When you're like, how in the hell you really think that, that they may look at how much money they got Mike McGlinchey guys. Okay,
Mhm.
like think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Look at how
Yeah.
much money they got Mike McGlinchey. Look at how much money they got Laken Tomlinson.
Mhm.
Those were guys that probably wouldn't have gotten that money if they'd gone out and played for anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So you're never. I'm never going to be too concerned about this offensive line, but I really would like to see them like get it shored up. Like, let's Brock Purdy at this point is a top 5 quarterback in the league. Like I've gone through in my head about quite a few times, and there's only 4 that I really consider better: Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. And who was the 4th? Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow. Who am I thinking? Who would be the fourth one that you would put
Is it
over him? Or
Lamar?
would you put him at 4?
Was it?
I was just
Lamar.
going to say Lamar
Lamar.
Jackson's the only other one that.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
That would be it. Because when you go down the list, is there anybody after that? No. So
Mhm.
let's get this guy all the offensive line help that he needs. Let's get him all the receivers that he wants that make him comfortable. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is.
Brandon,
it
this is
happen.
a big no for me.
I mean, at the
Where's he
right
going to
price.
play? That's the
Teeny
thing. Where's he
tiny on
going to
my
play?
phone. I can't see what it says.
Should we get Tomlinson back?
No, I don't think so.
Where's he going to play? Even if he comes, where's he going to play?
He's a left guard too, so he's not. I mean,
And
we
we-
have Aaron Banks over there.
On his rookie deal still. Like, do you want to take that away? No way.
What if you move
No
him to right guard,
way.
then put Spencer Burford at right tackle?
Can Spence play out there?
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause they've talked about. I know he played some there in college, but it's been a few years now.
Yeah, I mean,
And the way they keep
he was specifically. He told us he was specifically, focused at right guard.
right guard, yeah.
Hard.
So, and the way they keep bouncing Spence around, it's like, is the team showing a lot of confidence in him at this point? And you heard John Lynch saying we want to re-sign Feliciano. I think if they are able to re-sign Feliciano, the starting line next year is going to be Williams, Banks, Brendel, Feliciano, McKivitz.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be it.
Yep.
But Lakin Tomlinson is a left guard.
And we got Aaron Banks there.
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
I
That's it.
I don't like the whole reunion thing. I know Beck.
The
you,
reunion tour is crazy.
touched on it a little bit earlier with Kendrick Bourne and
Yeah.
Quan Alexander, and I agree with you that Aziz Al Shair should be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
because-
Of all the available.
On
exporting-
Alexander,
You know he's
Yeah.
getting injured at some point.
he would literally injure his effing arm signing the contract. Okay, so let's just stop.
Out 6
Okay.
months, signing contract.
Torn
Pen injury.
bicep, picking up a pen. The pen was
Signature
a little too
injury.
heavy.
It was
Yeah,
the
I'll love
equivalent of
it.
turf toe for your finger. Trigger
It's
finger.
the pen that did it.
Yeah.
I got turf toe in my finger. I don't know how that happened.
No, love Quan, but the availability isn't there. That's why we traded him away.
Yes, exactly.
You know, that and the
Right.
fact that Dre Greenlaw just was like, we ain't taking this kid off the field.
Mhm.
Let's just get rid of him. Let's get something for him. Because this kid's
This is
lighting it up as
This
a
is
rookie.
the best thing you said, Brandon. He thinks
Yeah, it all
Aziz should
depends.
come back.
It all depends on
I'm reading
money,
like this is microscopic.
the health
text.
of Dre. And John Lynch basically said we drafted 2 linebackers last year. We redshirted them. Now's the time to see what they can really do. So they may be looking at those guys to step up.
Well,
yeah,
and
like
I
Pally said, let's bring back Ted Ginn Jr. too.
I guarantee you he would have muffed that punt in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't care if he hadn't trained all week.
Ah.
Like, I bet he could have caught that in his sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
I just had a what year was
yeah,
that?
the
2000
shivers.
a
Right?
2011.
I just had a flashback.
I had a 2011 flashback.
Ugh.
The reason why that other number 10 was in the game
Mhm.
is because Ted Ginn was injured.
Injured.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking
Yep.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
He wouldn't have
Ew.
fumbled twice. Oh my god.
I got the ick. I got the ick. Make it go away.
We are going to draft
Oh,
a D lineman.
I think it's D line, man. We talked about it. Our depth there is real low right now. We know John Lynch loves his D lineman. If he's able to get something offensive line cheap and free agency, we're going D line. You can bet on it.
So
And just to circle back on the free agents that are available, there's a reason they're not with the Niners anymore. Like we seem to do a really good job at evaluating the talent and knowing when the guy that's behind a guy is better than the guy that's got the current role.
Mhm.
So they're not. It seems like this management team's not afraid to pull the trigger, just like with Brock Purdy, and say this is the best guy. He's going on the field. So some of these guys, I mean, we traded for trade value, but most of them are gone for a reason, and to bring them back makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Brandon says we need guard or tackle first. Well, if we bring back Feliciano,
There's your guard, and I think
There's
they're
your
really
guard.
high on him.
Yeah.
I think they're really high on him. And I think the one thing for Feliciano's inconsistency, and Spencer Burford for that point, they were swapping them out a lot.
Right.
I don't
next
like the
year,
rotating. I don't.
next
yeah.
year there can't be a rotation. If you've
I hate that.
identified Feliciano as the guy or whoever it is,
Mhm.
let them be the guy and just let them play, and have your backup sitting on the bench being the backup. That's the only way it's going to truly work.
Brendel, I don't think Brendel's been any problem at all. I think
I think he's been
right
good
after
for
Alex.
us.
Right
Yeah.
after Alex Mack left, like, did you notice any problems? I didn't.
Yeah.
So, you know,
He's been solid.
that's
He's
how
not
I-
flashy. He just gets the job done.
Yeah.
All right. He's
see that.
crackers.
Yeah.
Niners met with Cedric Gray. I believe he's from North Carolina.
Mhm.
But yeah, he would.
Yes, I
The
saw that too.
linebacking core wouldn't miss a beat.
Mhm.
One
plugging
thing
him
I'm
in
going to
there.
say though, before everybody jumps the 49ers met when teams meet guys and they're met publicly and then guys talk about it after, none of those guys are almost ever drafted. Okay.
Yeah, hardly ever. Yeah.
Usually the people that are drafted by this regime and usually around the league are teams that like don't telegraph it too much.
They don't want you to know
Especially
you
in
spoke
recent
to
years.
him.
They do not know. I didn't have a meeting. I don't know how many times I hear that. I hadn't talked to anybody from their franchise ever.
Mm-hmm.
So like and then all of a sudden, boom, they get picked up, right? Like, so don't read too much into, well, I talked to them at the combine. They're going to talk to a lot of people at the combine.
Yeah. That's what they're for. Yeah.
And this is like a giant filter, right? This is one of those deals. It's a funnel, right? You know,
Yeah.
you're funneling in, and then like, okay, these people are the ones we really want to dig into, right? So it's kind of the first stage of getting your Excel sheet ready is really what it boils down to.
And talk to is a loaded statement, loaded term, I should say, because a lot of times the way the combine works is, oh, we have questions for this player, and it could be 3 questions, and it's like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Da da da. Hey, just got some quick questions for you. We noticed this happened. Can you tell us about that? Oh, can you tell us about this game where something happened? And can you tell us about that? Oh, okay, thanks. We just wanted to get some clarification. Thanks for taking your time. We'll talk to you soon. That's your talk to. That's it. That's it. So you can't really take that. Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. It's all speculation all time. 24/7, especially in the off season. You're on mute,
How many
Jess.
professionals do mock drafts that are dead wrong every year?
Oh,
Based
you
on
get-
all the hyperbole, right? So
Yep.
it's very rare that someone gets it right on the draft. So they keep it under wraps for a reason.
It's true.
First round mock drafts have like an accuracy rate somewhere in the single percentages, right? And this is, and you're pretty much given the first 3 picks usually.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody pretty much knows the first 3 to 5 picks, like before anything. So for it to be that wild, like the draft is a weird place, man. Like remember, CJ Stroud couldn't process anything at this time last year. He didn't know what he was doing, right? No idea. That turned out to not be the case. I feel like he was able to process quite well and knew exactly what he might have been doing. So and then, the Houston Texans, came out of nowhere because they had been interviewing DeMeco Ryans for weeks before, they actually hired him. So, but nobody was talking about it until like about a week beforehand. So
Yeah.
There's no reason for the Houston Texans to be at a Dallas Cowboys 49ers playoff game. None. And I'm talking like the whole contingent. There's absolutely no other reason for them to be there. So come on, everybody. Use your brain. I think D Winters will probably D Winters for David McNiner there. I think that's the guy they may lean on this year a little bit, depending on how they feel about him. This is a make or break year for him because he has a shot to, to go in and make some hay happen. And if he doesn't, well, somebody else will.
Well, they remember they traded up to get him. Third round pick, our first pick, right? Basically gave him that red shirt freshman year.
Yep.
And he's been sitting back learning from the best linebacker tandem in the league so far. I mean, this year ever, right? So it's like, hey kid, now it's time to get on the field and show us what you learned last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like apply it. And people forget in preseason, he was flying around thumping. He was like, ooh, this D Winters kid not looking too bad.
Yeah.
Looking like Bowman out there. Ooh, we kind of like him. I just wish they used him more. Like, so I hate this regime, like not playing rookies some. Like, let him play. Oh.
You have to be really good for this franchise to play you as a rookie for meaningful time frames.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, the one player who I'm looking forward to in year 2 is Jair Brown.
I was just going to say the same thing. Like if you want to talk about a rookie who's going to come into his own next year, I think you're right. Jair Brown's really, really, I mean, he played so well in the Super Bowl. To see him get another year under his belt is going to be fun.
We were high on him before he even played, right? Because we all knew this season coming up, it was going to be him and Huff. We knew Gibson was going to retire, and it's going to be him and Huff. Let's see what this kid can do. And he went out there and played very well. Just got thrown feet first into the fire in that Bucks game and played very well. It was like, wait a minute, we got something here. And he just continued that. So going into year 2, oh yeah.
Excited
We're all very happy about him. Yep. Local boy.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Go ahead, Becca.
No, I just said yes, indeed.
Oh.
Local boy.
I'm actually last thing for me. Actually, I got 2 more things for you guys, but one, I'm excited that the whole quarterback talk is really not going to happen this offseason
until we sign somebody. We're gonna do some. We're gonna do something simple, right?
I'm speaking that into existence, so it doesn't
Tom
happen.
Brady. Bring Tom Brady.
You know how this works.
Out of the blue, get him out.
You know how this works.
No, you're
it's
right.
going to be
You're right.
At some point, either we sign somebody or we're not signing someone. And it's like, we don't have another quarterback. What is this team doing? They don't know what's going. I don't think they have trust in Brock. That's why they taking so long to sign somebody. Or, they signed Sam Darnold real quick. They must really like him for the future. Right. It's going to be something stupid like that. You can see it coming. And it's like, Brock is the man. Learn, live with it. Just get over it. He's not going nowhere.
Exactly.
He's George Kittle, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. He's in there with all of them. He's not going anywhere.
Well, I think the exclamation mark on that, Ty, is Steve Spagnuolo going out of his way to get in touch with Brock Purdy, to reach out to him and tell him how well he played. I think if there's any sign that someone had respect for his game and the way he played and the way he handled himself, it's that being made public.
Well, remember, Brock is
Michael
basically
Diaz,
just 4 passes away from lighting that defense up.
100%.
So Steve Spagnuolo knows, like, whoo, I got away with some things.
Exactly. I got away with a lot of things.
Like, woo, this kid had me. Woo. Yeah.
And nothing I did phased him. He read through all the disguises we
Nope.
put up in his way, and we got lucky. And he knows it.
Mhm.
But for him to come out publicly and let that be known,
Yeah.
I think that speaks very high of how well Brock played. And when you have the quarterbacks like Kurt Warner and others come out and all sit back, even Alex Smith come out and go, no, he's way better than you think. And these guys are all singing his praises. Good stuff.
Michael Diaz wants to know if Brandon Staley is hired, would we like that hire? And it seems like him and Nick Sorensen is being brought up the most.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a lot. It's a lot of good and bad. with it,
Yeah.
right? So
I'm-
it's like,
I have
oh,
mixed feelings about that.
exactly.
I'd have to I need it to be set in stone to actually be able to process it.
Right.
to go do the 11 hours of work to go watch all the games, right? Because I haven't watched every game he's his defense play and perform, and what that means for our guys, and who's going to go, how the changes and whatnot, how that really fits to us. It's a tough call, really, but
Yeah.
So guys, before we go, the schedule opponents have been out. The actual dates don't get released until probably another 2 months
Yeah.
or so.
Like after the draft.
May.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be before the draft. Now it's after the draft because
It's after
everyone.
the draft.
Yeah.
So what early thoughts on the schedule for next year? No worries. You're good.
It doesn't seem super duper ass kicky. You know what I mean? In terms of really, not all the tough games are on the road.
Technical term.
But here's the problem: we don't know how the stupid ass AI schedule configuration BS. If it's going to be one of those deals where we spend the team spends 1 week on the East Coast and then has to fly back for a Monday nighter, and then has to fly back to the East Coast for a game
Yeah.
against there was a
Yeah.
bunch of hot garbage scheduling done last year.
Mhm.
The Cleveland, Minnesota
No, we could
scheduling
actually
would
be
put,
playing in London too.
I don't
Because Minnesota's playing in London, and that's a home
That-
game for them.
That is a possibility.
Mm.
I
kept
doubt it,
hearing
though.
that they want. I kept hearing that they wanted them in Brazil, and then we're not in the Brazil game. So that was that. But again, we're at the mercy of the computers in terms of the schedule, right? But I mean, everybody on that schedule so far, Kansas City is the toughest game, and that's going to be at home, right? Detroit's at
Mhm.
home,
Mhm.
so okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sheesh. Should have at least the same record as last year, maybe a little better, because honestly, I don't think the NFC is going to be a lot better this year. Everybody's expecting Green Bay to just make this big leap forward, and the NFL is not linear, guys. It's not how that works sometimes.
Yeah,
Speed of schedule's kind of blah. It's like we played everybody this year. We're just playing them again next year. It's like it's like
Almost
Like-
exactly.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, almost. It's like, yeah. So okay, we'll see more of the same. We should see more of the same. All right. It's just I'm with Matt on when we play them. How
Yeah.
dumb is it going to be? Where are they going to put us? Are we playing on Monday night, then on Thursday night? Then we got to come back on the Saturdays. Something stupid like that, like they did to us this year. That's my only concern. I think it's going to be hard fought games like they normally are, but we should prevail. So I know I'm looking forward to it. It's football. Let's bring it on.
It'll be here
I just
before
hope we
you know
don't
it.
have all the holidays again. Leave
Oh,
us alone.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That type of
Leave us
situation.
alone.
Like really?
Yeah, we don't need
Thanksgiving and Christmas
and
and New
Thanksgiving.
Year's
Come on.
and come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys, before we get to that 2-minute warning? All right. Let's go to the hurry up offense and the 2-minute warning. Go ahead, Becca.
Well, as you see, he's still hanging in the background. My ticket to the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony is confirmed. I will be there to take care of my husband, make sure his ceremony goes well. So yes, I'm going to the Hall of Fame stuff already. Hotel ticket done. Way to go, Patrick. The off season is going to be fun. We'll take it as it comes. But we're here. Go Niners as always. We're looking forward to another season.
Yeah, Maddie.
We have 17 days until the official start of free agency, but you'll have a bunch of different things probably tampered with up until that point. So keep paying attention, and another pivotal time, and hopefully next week at this time we'll have a defensive coordinator that we're actually excited about and not having to talk ourselves into.
Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I was going to talk about free agency. We talked about it a little bit early on the show, but this whole 49er reunion tour talk, calm down, people. Like, you want us to sign everyone from every other team that gets released. Now you want us to sign the ex-49ers that get released. We only have a 53-man roster. We literally can't sign everybody. So let's temper expectations and let's do this in a smart manner. Okay? Just go from there. See ya.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys were awesome today, as always. Don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Just keep it tuned in here every Wednesday, 8:00 Eastern during the off season. We'll probably have some cool things coming your way. And don't believe everything you read on the internet, especially on Twitter. And as always, go Niners. Let's go.
Check your sources. Bang, bang.
Twice.
That's right. See ya.
And of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.